Okay, this is a nice and quick introduction to Gravit Designer. Now, this is a really nice alternative to Adobe Illustrator. It's online, it's free to use, you don't have to download it, so it's really nice just to use at home. You don't have to have a very good computer to use it, etc. So, all I've done is a Google search for Gravit, so Gravit, and you can see the first one that comes up here is Gravit Designer, and it's www.designer.io. So I'm going to click that link. Now, it might be worth making an account sort of now so that you get the email verification ready for when you want to use it. So you can see there's a Gravit Designer free and there's a Gravit Designer Pro. So if I go to Start Now, that will allow me to create an account. And you want to make sure that you're creating a free account, not a Designer Pro. So you can see there's Designer Pro there. But if I go to here, so free account, and I type in, a college email address or a personal email address, if it was me, I'd advise you use your college email address just because you're going to be using this for college work. So you would type your address in there, you type your name in there, you make yourself a bit of a password, click agree, and create an account. Now you can do it with Google, and then it would bring up like your Google account or your Google Slides account, etc. Once you go to create account, it will then send you a verification email. So if I do this with my college email, because I don't think I've got an account with that. And then we want to go get started free. So I'm not bothered about the pro account, I just want the free version. And then they will send me confirmation to my college email address. Now, the thing with college emails is you'll see down here, you've got a junk email. So you want to check your junk, and in your inbox, you might also have an other section here. So you can see mine's already turned up, but I know some people do have issues with a bit of a wait for it to turn up. So it's worth checking that other section, and it's worth checking your junk email section as well. It might turn up as fast as mine did, it might turn up in an hour, it might turn up by the end of the day, and then you should see activate your account, and then it should take you straight to Gravit. Now this is what you'll see. This is similar to when you go to sort of like create new on Illustrator, and I can go to new design or I can go new from template. Now I'm just going to do a paper size option, so I'm just going to do A3. If I want that to be landscape, I can change it, so you can see I can rotate my canvas here. So it's a little bit similar to Illustrator in terms of the layout, except that instead of your toolbar being down the left hand side, it's here along the top, and instead of your layers being in the bottom right corner, they're over here. You do still have some options on this side, so you can see if I go to my pen tool, which is just up here, and you can hover over these to see what they are, and it will give you sort of an idea of what's going on. If I go to my pen tool, you can see then this changes, so this gives me those options for those pen tools. So if I go and draw something now, random shape, fill it in, what I can then do is go to my fill, and I can change the colour of my fill, and you see it will fill it. I can change the colour of my border, and I can change the thickness of my border, etc. And then I can go back to my selection tool, and you can see that. I've also got, if you hold down here, we've got a sub-select, which you can see it's empty. So this is exactly the same as the direct selection tool in Illustrator. You can see it then brings up my anchor points. And again, once I've got an anchor point selected, you can see I can turn it into a curved anchor point, I can turn it into a half curved anchor point, whatever. And then I can change those anchors and handles. So the pen tool, which is this one here, and the direct selection tool work exactly the same in Illustrator and Gravit, so that's a really nice feature. Obviously when I'm drawing, if I just do a simple click, it will just do square lines. If I do a click and drag, it will do curved lines. If I do click, drag, alt, it will do the split. So exactly the same as Illustrator, which is a really nice function of this software. I think the only thing there really is that actually you don't have an eyedropper tool along here. The eyedropper is part of this area, so if I wanted to eyedrop a colour, if I wanted to colour it a certain thing, so you could drop a colour scheme on here somewhere, or an image that you're working from or something like that. If I did want to drop an image in here, obviously I'd be working from a sketch or a logo design or an image that I want to turn into a digital illustration, etc. I can just go to File, import, place image, and then I can find my scan or my photograph or whatever it is that I'm going to work with and drop that on there. And then it would go into your background. Now you can see I've got one layer here. I can lock that layer and I can hide that layer. So very similar to Illustrator, I can create a new layer, and I think if I right click, can't remember, yes, you can rename layers. So I could do, I don't know, logo 1, and you can see I've got a folder there, and then I can put that into that folder. So exactly the same as Illustrator in the same way that it uses that. This uses the term art pages instead of artboard, so I could add another page, and then I think you can zoom out on here. But then I can add a separate page, and you can have sort of several pages on top of each other. But you can see that when I go on to my next page, it lays it on top of the other page, which is always a bit awkward. But you know, you can have several sort of artboards, but you probably don't need to use those really. Again, like your layers panel, you've got this little bin here, so you can select something if it's not locked, and you could then bin it if you don't want it. Just bring my page back. So that's your pen tool. Obviously you've got shape tools exactly the same as you do in Illustrator, so I can draw a shape there, I can make it like that, and then I can choose a different shape, and I can do that. And then if I hold Shift and select both, you'll see that this comes up. Now this is my Pathfinder option, so I can stick those together, or I can do Command Z, I can subtract them, and I think if I do it in the middle, I can also do the other one, which is difference. There you go. So again, exactly the same as Illustrator. So your pen tool works in the same way, your Pathfinder options work in the same way. You can group things, so I could, if I undo all of that, I have them as two separate shapes, and I just want to group them, I can just select the group icon there, and then you can see it gives me a group, and it gives me these things, and I can double click these to rename them, so you can keep things nice and organised. So nice and simple. So all of those things work in the same way, and really that's all you need to know about this software is your shapes, your pen tool, your grouping, your layers panel, and everything else really, you know, using the pen tool. So you should, in theory, be able to drop your sketches in there, whether it's just a photograph of your sketches or whatever, pop it in the background, and then just have a go at going over it with the pen tool or using the shape builder options, so using a shape and then using the sort of Pathfinder options here. If you're thinking about colours, I would do sort of a search for, I don't know, blue colour scheme or something like that. Pick one that I like, and then I'd maybe just download that. Go back to my Gravit document, do File, Play, Import, Place Image, find my downloads, drop that in, stick that somewhere up here, make it nice and small. And then again, I can lock that, and then I can make a new layer. And then whatever I draw, I can eyedrop a colour from there, which makes my life a little bit easier. So it's quite nice to use a colour scheme and just drop it in. Again, if you're working in here, you really should be working from a sketch or an image of some sort. So you should be working over the top of something, whereas I'm just making this up. You really want something in the background, especially if you're using sort of your pen tool. You need to be tracing over something basically, so you should have an image to work from. So that is Gravit Designer. Once you get something that you're happy with, you can go to File, Save, or Download File. So if I go to Download, then it gives me a Gravit file. I could also do Export, and then you can see I can get a PNG or a JPEG. So if I exported this as a JPEG, it would give me my design as an image, and then I can save that somewhere. Obviously, I could just screenshot this and put it on my slides, but it depends if you are working on a Mac or if you're working on a PC. Whether you can screenshot on a PC, you might have to Google the shortcut for that. But that is the basics of Gravit Designer. So it's a nice and easy software to use. It's nice and quick to get onto, free, online, so you don't have to download it. And it should be fairly sort of quick to use with it being online. It really just uses your internet connection. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But that is Gravit Designer, which is a really nice way to use an Illustrator alternative from home.